Everyone, and happy holiday weekend. My name is Michael Gibbs, and I'm the founder and CEO of Go Cloud Careers. And I'm here with you today to help you build your absolute best cloud computing career. Perhaps you desire to become a solution architect or a cloud engineer. That's why we're here to help you achieve your dreams. Personally, I've been working in technology now for over 25 years, and I've actually been helping others get their first tech job or get promoted in tech for over 2 decades. And I want to help you get cloud hired or cloud promoted. So in our world, everything we do is about helping you build your best career. Look, others focus on certification, and we teach that as well, but we focus on getting you hired. And that's why I want you to have the world's greatest technology career. I'm here to answer your questions, and the reason I'm here to answer your questions is we know that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Follow the right path, and you can be a decade ahead of your competition to get your goals. Follow the wrong path and you can go work hard but never get anywhere. So we're here to help you build the roadmap to career success for the goal and career of your dreams. So please ask us some questions. But before we take your questions, let's talk about a few things. Right now, take advantage of the 30% off Labor Day discount. And it applies to all of our programs. If you desire to be a cloud architect, take the Cloud Architect Career Development Program. If you desire to be a cloud engineer, take the Cloud Engineer Career Development Program and get cloud hired. Currently, there's 30% off. Now, in addition to this great 30% off sale, I want to do everything I can to get you hired. So guess what we're going to do? Next Thursday, we're going to have another webinar on how to get your first cloud architect job. And it'll be on both YouTube or Zoom. And you'll be able to come on the webinar and ask questions, ideally on Zoom, and be able to get answers. So please join us on the webinar next Thursday. We will teach you how to get your first cloud architect job. Now, one of the things that's critical when it comes to getting your first cloud architect job or first cloud engineer job is the interview. So what are we going to do to help you with the interview? We're going to have a free mock interview session next Wednesday. You can volunteer to be interviewed. I will interview you. I will give you feedback. Normally, I charge $400 an hour to do this, and I'm going to do it completely free to help you build your best career and help you get cloud hired. And it's not just enough to learn how to do the interview. We want you to know how to get the interviews too. So we're going to do a free LinkedIn and resume workshop so that recruiters and hiring managers come to you so you're not stuck applying and getting auto-rejected by HR. So please take advantage of the free LinkedIn and resume workshop. The link is in the description below and the chat box. Take advantage of the free interview session. The link to register is in the chat box and the description below. Same thing for the free webinar next Thursday. And of course, don't lose the opportunity to take advantage of 30% off of all of our products. So please bring us your cloud architect career questions or cloud engineer questions or solution architect questions or enterprise architect questions so we can guide you. I want you to know that shortest distance between my internet went down, and it looks like my internet went down. If it stays this way, I'll switch over to the other internet connection I have, and I actually have bear with me while I switch over to a backup internet connection. Okay, on a different internet connection. Hopefully everything should be good now. So let's look for the first question. Bring me some questions so I can answer them. Shoot for the stars. Good morning, Cloud Hired. I am so happy to see you. Here to win. Good morning. I am so happy to see you. That's the point. Hi, Mike and team. Hello, that's the point. Shoot for the stars. That was a great show this morning. Thank you so much. Got a message from Angela this morning. I love the transformation things we can do with the cloud. So I'll be interviewing a lot more CEOs and business leaders and other things so you can see how they're using the cloud. And here's the reason. For architects, it's all about digital transformation. What can we use the cloud for to improve business performance? For engineers, it's all about how do we build it and tune it and optimize it. But I want to get you to see both. And And I want you to understand digital transformation, because that's the thing that we solution architects and cloud architects do, and enterprise architects. So I'm going to be bringing in a lot of executives, other CEOs and others, special famous people and others you can hear from, to see how they're leveraging technology to improve the business performance. So you get great ideas on how you can help your customers, because I want to help you build the absolute best cloud computing career. And Angela Itzakaki was a really nice, fun person to talk to. Very interesting, customized clothing, customized shoes, customized everything. And here's what's really exciting. With the technology he described, which is great digital transformation, you can get something customized for the same price as mass production. That is legendary and unbelievable. So fantastic. And thank you so much, Shoot for the Stars. Rohan, good to see you. Maybe it's not my internet access and it's StreamYard's access today, because I'm now on a different internet service provider. Alonzo Coleman, yes, come on, and don't forget to hit the like button, and please subscribe as well. So bring us your questions so we can assist you build your career. That's the point. For someone new to the cloud, do you have a recommendation on whether they should focus on a specialty like networking security, or should they work towards being a generic cloud architect? Now that's the point. It all starts with, what are your goals and dreams? Seriously, what do you want to do? And that's really the biggest key, and it's the thing that I've seen most people get wrong. There are no rules. I know people make up these nonsense rules in their head. I got to do a help desk for a couple of years and do an admin thing. That's nonsense. The reason it's nonsense is, Jennifer Emu was a mental health tech, and it was her first cloud architect job. And Yvonne Tamba's last job was serving food and is now working at AWS. Coyote was a college student. Jeffrey West was a geologist. Daniel was selling shoes at Nordstrom, and he's now working cloud architect. Jermaine was a landscaper, and he's now working as a cloud architect. Valwinder was a stay-at-home mom, and she's now working as a cloud architect. And Navina, I forget what she was doing, but she was a stay-at-home mom, and now she's, doing strategy consulting and tech, if I remember correctly. But the point is, you can do whatever you want. So that's the point. What is interesting to you? What is interesting to you? Do you love security? Then be a cloud security architect. Do you love networking like me? Then be a cloud network architect. So really the key is what do you want to do? Now, I will tell you this. Generally speaking, if you understand the entire cloud and then you pick a specialty, you may be in a bit of a better position. So I like to say, make sure you know networking. And why do I like to say networking? Because networking is the foundation for the cloud. Meaning the cloud is nothing more, regardless of the crazy names people call stuff, as a network in a data center that's been virtualized. And if you don't know the network, truthfully, you'll never be able to design anything on the cloud. So I feel like you should always, no matter what, get good networking knowledge. Now, from there, do you want to be all networking? And, when you're studying the cloud, if you find that you love networking and you really love it, focus on networking. Focus on it and develop your career towards that. Or if you find that when you're learning about next generation firewalls and VPN concentrators and IDS, IPS systems and access control lists and security policy, you find that you love it, study security. Or maybe that's the point, you're like me. And yes, I come from a networking background, but you think the digital transformation piece is the most exciting part of it. Well, then focus on your business acumen and do that. Now, that's the point. I don't know your last job. Perhaps you worked as like an airplane pilot, or perhaps you were a doctor or a nurse or a lawyer or an accountant. Or you worked for a banking in the banking industry or the retail industry or transport industry. Then you can focus on industry solutions to improve business performance in an industry. For example, I consulted for years on how to design systems for healthcare organizations. Well, for a while, I worked on banks, and clearly I did okay with banks, but I was designing systems for healthcare organizations. Wait, I was a nurse and a nurse practitioner, so I knew nursing and medicine. Wow, that was a way to build my career. So that's the point. There's lots of ways we can optimize our career. We can optimize it on the business side if we're looking for the most money by developing the most business acumen, leadership skills, executive presence, communication skills. Great option for us. We could focus on a technology like security, and that's fine too. We could focus on an industry. So that's the point. I always come back to the following question. What do you enjoy? That's realistically all it pertains to. What do you love? That's really where I encourage you to spend your time. If you want to be great, and I mean truly, truly, truly great, you have to really know what you're doing, right? And to really know what you're doing, you're going to have to put a lot of time into something. A lot of time. So the question becomes is, how are you going to spend a lot of time at something if it's not something you love? For example, if you wanted me to read about Python coding or Bash shell scripting, I mean, to me, that's torture. I mean, it really is. I think it's worse than being waterboarded, personally. I mean, if I had a code for me, because I hate it. But other people love it. So we get into the world of, what's good for you is not good for someone else. And here's the thing, that's the point. It doesn't matter. Do what you love. I built a networking career on BGP and multicast for a decade plus, to nothing other than that, because that's what I loved. And because I loved that, I was able to rise to the top very quickly. Just do what you love. Make sure you're happy, because you're going to spend a lot of time at work. And you can't just basically think you're going to be miserable all day because you're getting paid a lot and then, be happy when you get home. Because these are not the kind of jobs, it's not like serving food at a fast food restaurant where at the end of the day you leave at 5 o'clock and it's over. You're always going to have thoughts that are going to be in your head. Did I do the right thing for the customer? Is there something better I could have done? Is there something I missed in the process? Kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So for those reasons, make sure you pick what you love. But you could do generic first if you wanted and then move into a specialty. You could try to go straight to a specialty. You could focus on an industry. That's the point. What would you like to do? I'm all about what would you like to do, because I don't like being miserable at work. I work a lot. And I'll tell you, that's the point. When I used to practice internal medicine, I came home tired. When I went into networking and then cloud, I came home refreshed because I loved what I did. So I just want you to be really happy. No matter what, you need networking and data center fundamentals, because that is the basis of the cloud. You need cloud fundamentals. And then after that, do what you love. So I ask you, that's the point. What do you love? Great question, by the way. Kendi, hello. I appreciate your work. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here, Kendi. Burra, good morning. How are you? What is the next session? Burra, what do you mean by the next session? I mean, do you mean the next free webinar we do? Do you need the next course that we run? So if you're asking for when that course starts, it's the minute you sign up. We don't do batches intentionally, because I give my students as much time as possible, up to a year, to complete the program. So in our course, we run it the way you would train a martial arts academy or a medical group. We put the black belts with the brown belts with the red belts, and everybody works together and learns off of each other. In healthcare, you've got a 4th-year resident, a 3rd-year resident, a 2nd-year resident, an intern, and everybody's all mixed together. And why do they do that? So we're going to learn from each other. And by this way, Barra, I can keep you in the course, because the way we do things are as follows. We have an on-demand portion of the course, which is videos and projects that you turn in on your own time. When you come to live classes, we talk architecture or leadership skills or architectures, and we rotate through them so they stand alone. And the labs you do are on your own time, including building your own cloud. So there really is no dedicated start or stop for us. We give you up to a year in the program, and here's the reason why. I need to know, Burr, that when you sign up for my course, you're going to get hired in the end. I don't want to just give you some silly certification where you're done, you got a piece of paper, and you can hang it on the wall, you can start a fire with it, but it's not going to get you hired. I want to know that you've got enough time, so we give you up to a year in our program, and nobody needs a year in our program to get hired. So If you're asking about that, when's the next session, great. But if you're asking another question, what's the next session, let us know, because I really don't know what you're asking. So let's go to the next one while we try and get some clarification. And everyone here, don't be shy. I don't bite. Please ask questions. Kamar Curry. Hi, Mike. I have a Bachelor of Technology in Civil Engineering, and I will try to switch to cloud computing. Which course is suitable to me? Well, you didn't tell me what kind of cloud computing you want to do. If you'd like to be a cloud architect, which means someone that designs, presents, and sells technology solutions, the right course is the Cloud Architect Career Development Program. If you wanted to be a cloud engineer, which is a system builder, which is a hands-on technology professional, the best thing for you to do, take the Cloud Engineer Career Development Program. But here's the thing. We need to know exactly the training that you desire. Exactly. And here's the reason why. The training of a cloud engineer will not work for a cloud architect. The training for a cloud architect will not work for a cloud engineer. The training for an application architect won't work for a cloud architect. The training for a database architect also won't work for a cloud architect. The data of a big data architect won't work for a cloud architect, and these are all cloud-based positions. There's DevOps engineers, which is a totally different career, for example. And so kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So keep these things that, if you tell me the career that you actually desire, I want to help you. But right now, what you're basically asking is, I want to take an airplane flight. And I'm going to say, what's your destination? And if I know your destination, I can say, take this flight that goes to Bangalore. Take this flight that goes to Cape Town. Take this flight that goes to Brisbane. Take this flight that goes to London. Take this flight that goes to Reading. Take this phone that goes to Madrid. Take this flight that goes to Athens. But right now, I don't know your goal. So it's kind of like saying, which airplane should I take? And that's what I want to know. I want to know your destination so I can put you on the right path and get you cloud higher. So please ask some questions. And but here's the thing, Kumar Curry, you can do anything you want. It has nothing to do with your background. It's all about your training and desires and goals. So if you can tell us what your goals are, I can get you there. In the meantime, please ask questions. I'd love to help you. I just want to give the right advice, and having the right information and the right inputs is critical to get the right outputs. Kendi, is it possible to begin as a cloud engineer as an on-site worker without practical hands-on experience? So Kendi, I've gotten students hired every single day as architects, cloud architects, which are harder jobs to get. And they have zero experience, and it's okay, because we've trained them in their program and they get internships and they're capable. Now, the real thing is, Kendi, is what is your plan? If your plan is to go to Udemy and buy some Linux courses and Python courses and not be able to ask questions and just do a bunch of certifications, I promise you this, no, it is not possible to get a cloud engineer job with no experience. Now, Kendi, if you do a training program like our Cloud Engineer Career Development Program, and in there, you're taught real cloud engineering. And in this program, you're taught the networking things, you're taught the data center things, you're taught the security things. And you're in a live class and you can ask questions and truly learn it. And then in between live classes, you get both the technical skills and the non-technical skills. So why am I so obsessed with non-technical skills, Kendi? When you are brand new and it's your first job, and you've got two sets of candidates, candidate one is very competent with experience. Candidate two is brand new. We need something special to make you stand out. So what is it, Kendi, that employers are really looking for? They're looking for these factors in a perfect employee. They are looking for someone that is technically competent, that's different than experienced, the ability to do the job. They are looking for someone that's trustworthy. Most people lie on an interview. They are looking for someone that knows what they know and knows what they don't know. Now, here is your secret when you don't have experience. They are looking for someone that's energetic and enthusiastic and passionate about technology, because they want someone that's willing to work and enjoy what they do and not be miserable. They're looking for someone that raises the energy in the room and brings out the best in others. They're looking for team players, and they're looking for people that are going above and beyond. So everybody out there on social media that's doing quiet quitting, they basically became unemployable for the rest of their lives. And if they did, it's their own fault. And, because the employers need a job to be done. And if you're posting things that say, by employer, you're a bad employer, that's not going to make any employer want anybody. So what we need to do is follow as Ken do. In your first job, you got to be the shining star that walks in the room where they love you. Because 50% of your interview score is related to your competency, but the other 50% is related to your attitude, energy, enthusiasm, willingness to go above and beyond in a team player. So you must, if you're not with us, Ken D, and we train this extensively, get yourself some interview mastery training, get yourself some negotiation training, get yourself some communication skills training, get yourself some resume and some interview training and presentation training. Because Ken D, no matter how smart you are, if you can't communicate it well enough, nobody's going to know and they still can't hire you. So that's one thing we need to do. Now, next, Ken D, you need to make sure you know the network and the data center, and here's why. We cloud architects designed the plan to take the stuff from the network and data center to the cloud. The cloud engineers actually take the stuff from the network and the data center to the cloud. So in certification, they teach a name of a service and how to configure that service. But in architecture and engineering, we have to build and move this stuff. And you can't move what you don't know. So Kenji, what you'd have to do outside of certification, and I'm going to use the Certified Solution Architect Professional, the AWS one, as an intro to an intro to an intro to junior level cloud anything. So if you do that as basically your intro to the cloud, I consider that almost fundamentals training, but not even enough. I consider that 5 to 10% of what you need to be a cloud engineer. In addition to that, make sure you get some training on BGP, IP addressing, subnetting, supernetting, and we cover all this in our training programs, by the way. Now, one-to-one NAT, one-to-many NAT, static NAT, dynamic NAT, word address translation, otherwise known as NAT overload. Make sure you've got good knowledge, Ken D, on WAN technologies, whether they be SSL-based VPNs, IPsec-based VPNs, private lines, Ethernet over MPLS, software-defined networking, and SASE. Again, this stuff's not covered in certifications, but it's critical to the cloud engineer job. It includes switching, which includes spanning tree, rapid spanning tree, VLANs, VLAN tagging, port channel, ether channel link aggregation groups. It involves a fair amount of DNS, DHCP, ARP, proxy ARP knowledge. And then on the data center side, it requires some server and server virtualization and some container and container orchestration knowledge, a lot of that actually, and block storage, object storage, file storage, because you're going to have to tune their performance. And what they teach in these certifications is nowhere close to even enough to begin. Then what else you'll need to do is know about databases, and not just the ones they talk about in your certifications, because you can't use them anyway. Because if I use DynamoDB, it precludes me from using a multi-cloud environment where it adds too much complexity. So I wouldn't use a DynamoDB ever. I would use a MongoDB or an Apache Cassandra. Same thing, I couldn't use Amazon Aurora in 2 clouds, but I could use the Oracle database in 2 clouds, the Microsoft database in 2 clouds, MySQL in 2 clouds, Postgres in 2 clouds, etc. So there's those kind of things. Then you need to understand load balancers and load balancer architecture, when to use network load balancer and application load balancer, when you're using both of them. After that, you need some good knowledge on next generation firewalls, IDS, IPS systems, VPN concentrators, because chances are you're not going to be using things like WAF that are covered in the certifications. You're going to be using something robust. So that's your knowledge, your cloud network and data center knowledge. Now, the next thing you should use is as follows. You need to learn Linux. And I mean as a Linux engineer. How to administer it, how to tune it, how to lock it down, how to really build things, upgrading kernels, writing scripts. Definitely critical skills for the cloud engineer. Now, the cloud engineer needs to be very good at configuring the cloud, at the management console, at the CLI. The cloud engineer needs to have good Python scripting skills because they're doing some automating. The cloud engineer needs to be fairly sufficient at some Linux scripting, such as bash shell scripting. And then the cloud engineer is also going to need some very good infrastructure as code knowledge like Terraform. So Kendi, you get that. And sure, you can get a cloud engineer job with no hands-on experience. My students get these kind of fantastic jobs every day. But no, it's not going to be there with certification alone. Certification alone is just too junior. And the problem is certification is the name of a service and how to configure that service. And we can't use half of those services. And as an architect, you need to design them. And as an engineer, you need to know how to performance tune them. The only people that are almost prepared by the certified solution architect professional, but not even almost, but close enough, would be an admin, who basically just type stuff all day long that you tell them to do and they don't do any thinking involved. So because they're only implementers. So you can look at this: the architect, the designer, the engineer is the performance tuner, and the builder and the super techie guru that's involved. And the admin is just basically like, if you were to order a phone company and there's somebody screws up and they screw a router to your wall, that's more like the admin or the hands-on tech role. So for the engineers, you need to know a lot more than was covered in certification. But yes, you can absolutely. Now, Kendi, if you're like our students and you really do labs, you'll have hands-on experience. Now, Kendi, every Go Cloud Career student gets a title, Cloud Architect or Cloud Engineer, for our organization. And they all do like a mini internship, and they do things that are real. So my students all build their own clouds. My students all work with Active Directory servers. They all work with firewalls and VPN concentrators. They build file servers for Windows and Linux and deal with web apps. They do whatever they need to. So by the time my students get done, they've got a year's worth of experience for the most part, doing real cloud projects that employers love. So we do it all the time. We'd be honored to work with you. If you are not with us, make sure you learn all those things that I told you. All of the things that I told you. Because certifications are just not enough. Consider certifications to be 10% of your plan. The other 90% needs to be competency. I view it, and I don't eat cake, but I know a lot of people that like to eat cake, and they tell me that they don't just eat the icing out of the jar, they eat the cake, and they like the cake better with icing. Certification is like an icing, but if there's no cake underneath it, you got nothing. So get the knowledge, get the capabilities, and then the certification just helps you get the interview. And then the knowledge and capabilities is what you prove to the hiring manager that you get hired. Are you the one that teaches during the live classes? Or are there people who carry that out talking about the cloud architect? I teach 90% of the classes in the cloud architect program. Occasionally, I will have a friend that's an application architect, teach application architecture. Or I have a friend that's a working cloud architect that worked as a big data architect for about 2 decades prior to me turning him into a cloud architect. So if there's a big data design sometimes, what I'll actually do is I'll actually get him to come in. And here's the reason why. His 20 years in big data architecture is better than my 0 years in big data architecture. Now, I'm an expert on networking. I was one of the original Cisco certified internet experts back when it was a hard 2-day exam, before so many people failed that they had to make it simple and make it a 1-day exam. And so when it's networking or security, I'm really excited to teach it. And I teach 90% of these classes, especially the leadership classes, but I occasionally do bring in somebody else. If I feel there's somebody else that can help and do something that's better than I can do, I'll bring him in to come in. For example, one day, one of the managers at AWS came in and he talked to my class. He wanted to talk to my class about why he loves hiring our Go Cloud career students so much. And he made the whole class about, look, I can't hire a techie as an architect. And because I can't hire a techie as an architect, and I need what you teach, an executive with good leadership skills, good communication skills, good emotional intelligence, good system design skills. He came to my course. So that day was a special guest. Occasionally, I might have a recruiter come to my class too and talk about optimizing your resume or LinkedIn or working with recruiters. And if I do that, it's because I want you guys to get a better experience. But I teach the architect program. I'm the 90% instructor of it. And because I want you to get really hard and do really great. You're more than welcome, Burrow. We'd love to work with you. We'd also love to work with you, Kendi. My team will provide a link for you so you can register for the Cloud Engineer program. So, Kendi, how do you become our student? You become our student very simply. You either go to training.gocloudcareers.com and you can click a link, or we'll give you a link. And all you have to do is sign up the link, use the 30% off coupon code today, and please take advantage of that major discount. And what'll happen is you'll click the link that my team is going to put you in the chat box. Then when it says have a coupon, enter the coupon code, and poof, you're going to get an email. And the email will welcome you to everything. It'll tell you how to join the classes. It'll tell you how to join the weekly, where the pre-recorded classes are. It'll show you how to join Slack. It'll show you where to turn in your homework assignments. It'll tell you where the live class links are, and you'll be rolled into the next class. And we would love, love, love to work with you. I can see, Kendi, that my team just posted a link for you. And we'd be honored to help you and get you cloud hired. I love getting people cloud hired. It happens to me almost every day, and it still brings tears to my eyes. And I know you guys have seen it sometimes every time somebody surprises me and they get hired. I grew up with very, 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 very limited means. And because so, when things are there. So anyone should follow that link and that we just posted in there. Anyone that wants a great, great, great career at the lowest cost possible should follow that link. So follow that link. And if you've got any questions, Kendi, let us know. We want to make sure you've got the best cloud computing career. I am not IT background. What's the difference between a cloud architect and a cloud solution architect versus a cloud engineer? Which course is suitable without any networking and programming knowledge? Well, here's the thing. There's nothing that's suitable if you're not willing to learn. Now, cloud architects and cloud solution architects are the same job with those two silly names. A cloud architect does the following. We meet with a client. We ask a bunch of questions. We then bring in a team of engineers to examine their systems. We make a plan, and then we sell the plan. We design it, present it, and sell it. So think of the architect as the person as a building architect, because it's the same job. So if I wanted a hotel, I would call an architect, and I'd say I wanted 1,000 meters tall. I'd like these 3 helipads. I'd like these waterfalls and these gardens. And the architect would build the blueprints, right? The cloud architect does the same thing. It's the identical job. We meet with the client. We ask them their business goals, their business pain points, and business challenges, and we design a technology solution to improve that business performance. We don't touch the technology. We design it, present it, and sell it. And the only technology we touch in our lives includes Microsoft Word to write documents, Microsoft PowerPoint to make presentations, spreadsheets to do business calculations and ROI models, etc. That's what we do as an architect. Design it, present it, and sell it. We don't touch the tech. We don't code. We don't configure anything. We go to meetings. We entertain clients. We deliver presentations. We write thought leadership documents. And let me tell you, it is the best job in the world. And it pays a lot more than the engineering too. But the engineering is still a good career too. So now let's talk about the engineering. The engineering is all tech. Engineers need to code. They need to configure. They need to do infrastructure as code. So it's up to you. What do you want to do? Do you want to be a business executive? Then you want to be a cloud architect. Do you want to be a hands-on techie? Then you want to be a cloud engineer. We made ours very simple. The Cloud Architect Career Development Program is a one-stop course. It's the only thing you need to become a working cloud architect. Our Cloud Engineer Career Development Program is the only thing you need to become a cloud engineer. Now, inside of each of these programs, we have a specifically tuned curriculum. The architect curriculum and the engineer curriculum are very different from each other because they're very different jobs. So it's not which course is suitable for you based upon your background. It's what are you interested in? And why do I not care about your background? Why is your background irrelevant to me? For the following reasons. I used to practice internal medicine, and then I went to tech. Jennifer was a mental health tech, now working as a cloud architect. Daniel was selling shoes, didn't even graduate high school, and he's now working as a cloud architect because he was so smart. Delroy's working as a cloud security architect, and his last job was working as an EMT on the ambulances. Jeffrey West was doing some kind of geospatial imaging, some kind of fancy geology thing that I never completely understood. Coyote was a college student. Yvonne was serving food at a restaurant when he got hired. Jermaine was working as a landscaper when he got hired. Balwinder was a stay-at-home mom, and I could go on and go on and go on. And God, I can give you a list of hundreds. But the point is, none of them had any tech background, and it doesn't matter. They were taught with the right skills. So it's not what's suitable you for your background, it's what would you like to do. If you'd like to design, present, and sell, you want to be a cloud architect. If you want to be a hands-on techie, guess what? You want to be a cloud engineer. Both of these things are truly, truly, truly great, and we would absolutely love to help you get there. But the key is it's not based upon your past. That's like saying yesterday for dinner, I had some samosas, I had some bindi and some tandoori chicken with some dal. Now, if you ask me what I'm going to have for dinner tonight, it might be Greek food or Ethiopian food. It doesn't matter. Yesterday has no impact on tomorrow. So be what you desire to be. And we'll happily help you get there. Chris, we can go to the next one. Kendi, what's the function of EKS in cloud and why they drift from ECS? Okay, Kendi, good question. And this is more about how to build a career. So this is the only technical question I'm going to answer here today, and the rest are career. So Kendi, remember I just said what's taught in certification is what you can't do in life? So ECS was this ridiculous proprietary container orchestration system that Amazon did. And the second, Kendi, somebody uses ECS, they are trapped and they can't leave Amazon. Amazon wants to raise their rates, they are stuck. Amazon kicks them out like they kicked out Parler, the company's out of business. So when you use any kind of ridiculous proprietary anything, you're basically like handcuffed to the vendor and you have no control. So about 20 years ago, we learned that open source things that are interoperable, are much better. So what happened is Amazon started with their cloud stuff, so they created a bunch of proprietary stuff that would only work with their stuff and nobody else. Now think about this. Amazon has a constant outages. They all do. And Amazon's a great network. They get outages that take down the entire globe, which they blame a power failure, which data centers don't have power failure. They come up with excuses for every reason why they can have global outages constantly. Now, Kendi, 87% of customers are on two clouds, and 97% want to be on two clouds for availability. And once you use a proprietary thing like ECS or SQS, or DynamoDB, or Aurora, or WAF, or CloudFormation, or any one of the most ridiculous proprietary services, it almost precludes you from doing multi-cloud. It makes life challenging. So things that are truly related to proprietary things, they're gone. And that's why what's taught in your certifications are silly and irrelevant, because you can't use half of it, because we're all dealing with a multi-cloud environment. So think of anything that's got a fancy Amazon name. Can't use it. Now, if it's the reality, if it's a virtual machine, yeah, we're going to use that. It's the same virtual machine that, would be called a VMware ESXi, Citrix would be Zen, Linux KVM or QEMU, which AWS is a Nitro hypervisor. They're all hypervisors. They all create virtualization. That's standard technology with silly names. But proprietary service, like things like Amazon Aurora, can't use it. Even SQS or Kinesis can't use it, but I can use Apache Kafka across all clouds. So when it really comes to this, the drift is going to go away from all that proprietary nonsense while everybody goes multi-cloud. None of the cloud providers were able to deliver 4 nines or 99.99% availability last year. And that's not even high availability, because that's still an hour of downtime. You're dealing with a hospital or a bank. An hour of downtime, people can die, or millions and millions and millions of dollars can be lost, potentially for a bank, $1 billion in 4 nines versus 5 nines based upon the trades that are actually going on. And companies can't afford to be down on a single cloud, and that means they can't afford to use any proprietary technology like DynamoDB or Amazon Aurora or ECS. Companies that need enterprise security aren't going to be using WAF, and that's the problem. The stuff that's taught in all those certifications is not the reality of what customers demand. And that's why our course teaches you the real job. And that's why our students get hired every single day, because we can't use these kind of proprietary things. Some people wouldn't use EKS at all. There's some people that would just add a couple of virtual machines and orchestrate their own Kubernetes clusters in their data center and clouds and not have anything they have to deal with that's managed. So that's why you're going to see all this ECS go away and all this stuff that's in proprietary certification things. You can't use it if you want something good and solid and reliable, agile for your customers. That's the reason, Kendi. So let's bring in some questions on building your career so I can help you all get your best. So ask us some questions so we can help you build your best career. While we're waiting for some questions, give me a cloud hired and tell me the career you want with a hashtag solution architect, hashtag cloud architect, hashtag cloud engineer, hashtag enterprise architect, because we want to know who you are so we can help you as much as possible. Kathy R., thank you for this session. What's the difference between a cloud security architect career compared to a cloud architect career? Is one better than the others in terms of jobs? Well, Kathy, I'll go over the difference, but it's not that one's better than the other. It's different than each other. And you need to understand what the differences are. So, for example, a cloud architect focuses the end-to-end picture. So I go talk to my customer and I ask them about their business goals, their business pain points, their business challenges. And just like an enterprise architect, I get to hear, I want to increase sales. I want you to improve employee productivity. I would like to reduce error defects in our manufacturing process. Minimum wage went up and I want to lay off 15% of my workforce and replace them with machines. And these are the kind of things that you will deal with. There's a tax hike in the US. Let's open an office in Ireland, for example. And these are the kind of things that people are going to approach you with as an architect. There's always things in flux in the economy and the regulatory environments, and wages, and products and supply chain. So the cloud architect is a business executive, Kathy, that's going to hear these imports and build a solution to solve the customer's problem. That's what they're going to do. So when it comes to that, keep this in the back of your mind, that the cloud architect is a business executive that designs the end-to-end piece. The end-to-end piece is going to include servers and applications and security, and it's going to include some other things such as storage and ERP applications and CRM applications. That's what the cloud architect does. Now, Kathy, the cloud architect by itself is generic. Now, you could then become a cloud architect that focuses on an industry like healthcare. You could become a cloud architect that focuses on something such as banking, as an example. You could also be a cloud architect like me who really focuses on your executive presence, your executive communication skills, and your business acumen. And then guess what? Then, now you're in the elite, high-paying world of the most elite architects that are really functioning as digital transformation specialists. Now, the cloud security architect focuses just on security. So while the cloud architect focuses on the whole big picture, so pretend you're going to go up tonight. Go out tonight and look at the sun, the moon, and the stars. Look at the entire sky. That's the cloud architect. Now, the cloud security architect only focuses on security. Only security. So pretend you're looking at the moon. That's the cloud security architect. They get involved in the firewalls, the next generation firewalls, the IDS, IPS systems, the VPN concentrators being used for remote access, application security, identity and access management, encryption strategies, training of employees against anti-malware, for example, anti-phishing campaigns, anti-social engineering campaigns, documenting the security policy, writing the incident response procedures should anything happen. You get hacked, legal does this, you get hacked, who speaks to the past, those kind of things are part of the things that called security architect. So when you look at it, one is a specialist on one level of tech, and one is a generalist. Now, generally speaking, specialists get paid more and have more career potential, but there's always less jobs for specialists because, I don't always need a cloud security architect in my systems. If it's a mini architecture, one person might be able to do it. If it's a big bank, what's going to happen is the cloud architect is going to meet with the client along with the account manager and typically this pre-sales engineer. And then what we will do from there is as follows. We will then build the team. And I'll bring in the cloud security architect to do just the security. I'll bring in the cloud IAM architect to do the identity and access management. I'll bring in a big data architect to focus on the big data. I'll bring in a database administrator to help with the database stuff. I'll bring in a network architect like me to go focusing on the network. So realistically speaking, the cloud architect is a facilitator, a coordinator. Now, I come from an internal medicine background, Kathy, where I meet with a client and I take care of them. Now, if they've got a cardiovascular problem, I send them to a cardiologist. If they've got a neurological problem, I send them to a neurologist. If they've got a bone problem, I send them to an orthopedic surgeon. If they have arthritis, I send them to a rheumatologist. So the internal medicine doc, the cloud architect, the quarterback in football that coordinates the plan is the same job. The cloud security architect is a specialist that comes in. So if the Marines go in somewhere and they feel like they need special ops, they might bring in the SEALs or the Raiders, Force Recon, or whatever the new name is. MARSOC, the name keeps changing. But they're going to bring in specialists. That's the role. It's a specialist role. Specialist roles pay more, but there's less of them. But being a specialist, if you're great, you'll always have a job too. Great question, Kathy R. Both are excellent. Specialists earn more, and generalists typically have more options. But there's always a critical need for specialists. You find somebody good at security, they truly understand security and they're great at it. They're going to be pulled in 8 million directions and offered more jobs than you can imagine, because security risks are huge, 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 huge. And anybody that can mitigate those risks in today's world is worth their weight in gold, diamond, and platinum combined. Also, any architect that can truly understand digital transformation as opposed to the tech, again, is worth their weight in gold, platinums, and diamonds combined. I'm exaggerating the concept, but we're talking multi $100,000 a year positions when you're really good at business and you're really a specialist at her. Great question, Kathy, and please ask some more. Kendi, what are the daily tasks of an AWS solution architect? Okay, Kendi, this is where it's going to sound terrible, but it's reality. As a solution architect, you will go to meetings, 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 and more meetings. So this is where people don't understand the architect. They think the architect is some super technical person. It is not. Here's what a day looks like. One day you'll go to a meeting, a meeting, a meeting, a meeting, and a meeting, and then you'll take your corporate credit card and buy your client a dinner and drinks. That could be your full day. The next day you can present at an executive briefing center and then do some documentation on an architecture. The next day you can go to meetings from morning until night. The next day you're going to be flying on an airplane to go talk to a customer, and the next day you're going to do meeting, and executive briefing. The next week, I'm not joking, you might get a request for information or a request for proposal or a request for quote. Kendi, you will then build a team of people that are going to get together and respond to the proposal with you. Then the next day, guess what you might have to do? You might have to present at a conference, and after you're done presenting at that conference, you may have to work the booth at the conference and really talk about how your solutions can improve business performance. The next day, you may do nothing. You might be going to the beach and getting paid for it. The day after that, you're going to be taking your clients to breakfast, taking your clients to lunch, and buying your clients dinner and drinks and expensive scotch and expensive wine. The day after that, it's meetings, 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 and meetings. So Kendi, when I first became an architect 25 years ago and people asked what I did, I was embarrassed. I said, I'm credit card boy. And they said, what do you mean you're credit card boy? I said, my whole job is taking clients to lunches, dinners, and drinks and attending meetings. And they said, what do you mean? How much do you spend on your credit card, Mr. Credit Card Boy? And I say between $100,000 and $200,000 a year buying lunches and dinners and drinks. Because that's what we do. So think of our world as meetings, writing documents, delivering presentations, writing thought leadership documents, writing architectural documents, presenting at conferences, presenting at meetings, and entertaining clients. Taking clients to golf, for example, is a big architect thing. Taking clients to dinner is a big architect thing. Buying, what are those things? They're called box seats where you go to the Super Bowl and you're in like a glass window. That's an architect thing. And of course, the companies pay for it. What's not an architect thing is being hands-on, coding or configuring. This is an executive job where you also know technology. So I want you to understand, what is the goal of the architect? It is to improve business performance. What are their tools? Cloud technologies. But that's just their tools. Those are the things that can be used to improve business performance. And Kendi, that's why an architect and an engineer are so different. An engineer focuses on building the tech. The architect focuses on improving the business. So Kendi, I like to do this with my graduates. Who are my graduates? People that are working as cloud architects. I like to say to you, code. They laugh. Code, Mike. I don't touch tech. Have you configured anything? No, it's 3 years. I haven't configured anything yet. What do? I go to meetings, and take people and entertain clients. That's the job. It's the best job. It's amazing that people pay you. And they don't just pay you. They could be paying you $150 an hour to, literally speaking, eat a nice dinner at Morton's while drinking $100 Silver Oak and drinking $25 to $50 shots of Macallan 25, entertaining your clients. We actually get paid for that, and I got paid for that for years. So it's not what you think it is. It is a job, and whether you're at AWS or Microsoft or Cisco or Deloitte or Accenture, Bearing Point, Capgemini, Microsoft. I got students working in all of them. It's meetings. We are consultants. I'm not sure what disappeared. It looked like my screen froze there for a minute. So and I'm not sure if I'm audible or not on screen right now, but if I am, Chris, we can go to the next question. Shalom, and thank you so much for saying that I'm the best. I truly, truly appreciate you being here. Please, please come back. I'm very happy to see you. Raul, as a software engineer for 4 to 5 years, who is just interested in to dabble in the workings of the cloud, is the solutions from AWS, MS, and Google a starting point for you to learn and maybe certify? Raul, if you don't want to work on the cloud and your goal is to get a certification, then that will be absolutely sufficient. But understand, what software engineers do is code. And what architects do is design a solution, present a solution, and sell that solution. Architects come back, are business executives. They do ROI models. They build business cases. They present at conferences. They lead large teams. And certification will not be anywhere close to that path. So, Raul, if you want to become an architect, you're going to need extensive training to get it. Now, there's 2 ways you can get this training. I'll give you the cheap training way and the best way, or the other way. So if you just want to dabble, sure, get a certification, but realize you won't be doing anything with related to cloud architecture. You're just going to have a certification and you won't use it for anything. Now, if you want to be an architect, you've got to get the business acumen, the leadership skills, the sales skills, the executive presence, the emotional intelligence. So for that, you could take a course like our Cloud Architect Career Development Program or get an MBA. And when you're done the MBA, you'll still need training in CXO relevancy and executive presence or executive communication skills, because that's not covered in an MBA. Now, if you take ours, you'll get all the stuff. And software engineers are about coding, and architecture has nothing to do with coding. Where do my virtual machines go? Where do my firewalls go? What kind of intrusion detection prevention systems am I going to use? How do I increase revenue for the organization? How do I increase expenses? How do I improve employee productivity? How do I improve the supply chain? How do I whatever? That's architecture. So, Raul, if you want to do architecture, great. But if your goal is just to get a certification, sure, you can get a certification, but why? What's the point of doing a certification that you can't do the job in? So there is that. So I don't really believe in dabbling. I believe that you've got 2 options, Raul. If you want to be a software engineer and stay a software engineer, become the world's greatest software engineer and have a great job. If you want to be a cloud architect, become a great cloud architect. Here's what happens when you dabble. When you dabble, you learn a little of this, you learn a little of this, and a little of this. And you know what you're good at? Absolutely nothing. Because if you divide your focus amongst too many things, you effectively become a hobbyist and not a professional. So dabbling, and I got to tell you, I've been a career coach for 25 years, is the thing that I've seen destroy people's careers. So I strongly suggest you find out what you want to do. If you want to be a gymnast, be like Simone Biles. Dedicate everything you have. your time, your effort, your money, and training to be the greatest. You want to be the world's fastest man? Like Usain Bolt? Train sprinting and power and speed training. Want to be the world's greatest swimmer? Be like Michael Phelps, right? What do you think he does all day long? He swims. He swims and he swims some more. And he does strength and conditioning specifically related to swimming. So that's why they're good. Now, at the same time, you got hobbyists that do a little of everything. They're not good at anything, but they do a little of everything. So rule, who am I going to pay? A $350,000 architect that's an expert at digital transformation, or a dabbler? I can't hire a dabbler. There's no point of having a dabbler on my team. Now, if you focus purely on software engineering, and I need a software engineer, now I'm interested in you. You focus purely on cloud architecture, now I'm interested in you. But if you divide your focus between the two, I have no interest in you for either. And here's why. I know your focus is spread, which means I know your knowledge is spread, which means I know you don't know enough about any one thing to do it. So I recommend that you pick one and you master it, master it, master it. That's what I recommend. Because a specialist always earns more than a jack of all trades. And a specialist is much easier to get hired. So I recommend that you pick the career that you want and you master it. You put all your time, all your effort, all your money, all your studying, and you focus on it and you become the greatest. That's what separates you from the rest. Then you have a career that's like a rocket ship versus a career that just teeter-totters and goes nowhere. 20 years of career coaching, all the people I've seen whose careers went nowhere, dabbled, and they never got promoted, they never got ahead, and they always blamed their employers. I was earning more with 6 months experience in technology, coming from medicine with no degrees in tech and experience in tech, than people were with 15 years of experience. By the time I had 2 years of experience, I was a principal architect designing the world's largest internet service provider systems in 2 years. Why? Only thing I did was network architecture. Only thing. And in there, I only focused on BGP and MPLS and multicast, nothing else. That's why I rose to the top. By comparison, I had a buddy Puneet. He was real smart, probably smarter than me, but he did this thing and 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 this thing. We were like best friends. His career was here. My career was here. He had the degrees in tech, the master's degrees in tech. He had the experience and he knew a lot of Linux and a lot of scripting and a lot of coding and a lot of networking and a lot of security, a little this. He was a dabbler. My salary was here. His salary was here. It's not about how smart you are. It's about how effective you can be in your role. And how do you be effective in your role? You become great at your job. Great at your job. So I recommend you figure out what you want to do and master it, master it, master it. But I don't believe in dabbling unless it's a passion hobby. Dabbling's good when you're going to go be alone in the wilderness by yourself. And if you can start a fire, it's good, and figure out how to find berries and forest for things and figure out which weeds are edible and then figure out how to hunt with your hands. Dabbling's good in that world. But if you're dealing with a customer that's got this $50 billion a year that's worth $50 billion, and that's about some of the smaller customers we're going to deal with as cloud architects. We're going to be dealing with these trillion-dollar companies too. And when we're dealing with these things, they care, can you do that job, exactly the job they want you? They don't want a dabbler, they want an expert. Great question, Roland. I'm thrilled you answered it. And it's not negativity I have towards dabblers. I just hate to see people work so hard to destroy their careers. And that's what happens when you dabble. You literally crush your career because you know a little bit about everybody else's job but your own. And in the the first 5,000 interviews that I did, I could never find anybody that could do the job. They knew everybody else's job and I couldn't hire any of them. I actually hired 3 people with 0 experience. 0. I heard this guy Shanor one time. I really loved the guy. He was great. I interviewed him. He had the best attitude I've ever seen. I went to my manager and said, not only do we want to hire Shanor, and my manager says, tell me about his experience. And I said, he has none. And my manager says, you want to hire somebody that has no experience? I said, yes. He said, any other challenges, Mike? I said, yeah, he has to go home by Friday at 1 p.m. because he lives 3 hours away, and he has to be home before sunset. And my manager said, are you going to work with this? And I said, yes, I am. Shanor became one of my finest people. He then became a CEO of a company that sells Chromebooks to the developing world, and he's changed the lives of so many people. But I would hire somebody that didn't know anything with a good attitude faster than I would hire a jack of all trades, because at least I know this person can learn, and the jack of all trades is going to be all over the place. Great question. And Chris, if you want to bring in the next one. Daniel Just, you would like to work with data processing on the cloud, databases and automation reporting. What would be the career path here? I have already 2 years on Lambda Step Functions Redshift. So Daniel Just, data processing is a junior job that you don't need any training for or experience for. So I don't think you want to do data processing. Now you may choose to do some kind of a big data application. And I am not a data scientist, and I'm going to tell you that right now. But if you really wanted to be big data, you're really talking about data architecture or data engineering. Now, all this nonsense that you're describing, Lambda Step Functions Redshift, completely irrelevant to the query. You need to understand data. And what is data? You know, what are your sources of data? Where are they coming in from? How do you deal with streaming data, which in a multi-cloud environment, Daniel, is Kafka. Now, what are you going to do with that data? Are you going to import it into object storage later and then run some machine learning algorithms on it? Are you going to deal with a data warehouse like Postgres? And you're going to then mix that with a NoSQL database like Apache Cassandra and a relational database such as Oracle? Are then you then going to have somebody write a Python Spark script to normalize that data and stick it in a landing zone in object storage, and then maybe do a data catalog, and then potentially do some machine learning on it, or go straight into a visualization tool like Tabula? Again, that's big data stuff. How are you architecting your databases to scale? How are you dealing with your multi-cloud architecture things? This is data stuff. So spending years on some proprietary AWS services doesn't teach you data. Learning data does. Now, if you're dealing with data and you're dealing with big things, there's typically some coding that works for these data people, assuming they're not architects, assuming they're data engineers. There's typically some Python coding, there's some coding in R, there's machine learning libraries, and I am not a data scientist, but like PyTorch and TensorFlow. There's a lot of statistical analysis that needs to occur. There's a lot of SQL knowledge that needs to occur. There's a lot of Excel knowledge that needs to occur. So, you know, these are your things that are there that you would need to learn. I am not a big data person. Now, Daniel, I'm going to tell you this. Big data jobs are the lowest paying and hardest to get. In fact, I know so many people that have taken $20,000 to $40,000 data science boot camps, and after that realized they couldn't get hired, and then took our course and either became cloud engineers or executives. So there is that. So, you know, I don't see data as a great career. Now, at some point when people figure out what to do with data, that's when the world gets good. So at some point, we're going to have a person that's going to be able to figure out how to collect the data, aggregate the data, truly pull out the information, make good business decisions and better business inferences so the business can place more strategic bets, and then present that data to the CEO and the CFO and the CTO, and now we got somebody that's really great. But all in all, Daniel, I am not a big data architect. I do have a big data architect, and we have a really good video on our YouTube channel from Praveen. And he talked about how to design big data architectures, and I think that would be a really good thing for you to understand. Now, understand Praveen worked for about 2 decades in big data. So as a data architect, databases, data this, data warehousing, data manipulation, data finesse. And he came to me to be a cloud architect. And now he works at JP Morgan Chase as a cloud architect, not a big data architect. But he's got a great video, and I would want you to learn that. But realize it's never about learning AWS proprietary services. Because what about Azure? What about Google? What about what you're going to do in the data center? So it has nothing to do with step functions and Redshift or any of that. It has everything to do with how do you massage that data? Where do you get the data? How do you normalize the data? How do you present the data? And what do you do with the data? So I'm not a big data person to talk much more about that, but kind of keep that in the back of your mind. You're going to need to learn a lot more than just what's covered in any kind of certification. And understand this is the most challenging career in tech to get hired. Even people with PhDs and advanced statistics could apply to 400 to 500 jobs and not get them. And understand it's also a very low-paying career compared to the cloud architect or the solution architect job. So if you want to do this because you love data, I think it's great, but make sure that you realize the whole thing, realize what truly goes into it. And, do you need to code like Python or R? Are you going to be dealing with machine learning libraries like PyTorch and TensorFlow? Is it going to be some stuff on cloud like SageMaker? But there's a lot of tools that go into this. You really need to understand the statistical analysis that goes on into these things, the way to write the code, the way to massage the data, and nothing's going to be covered in the certification. Great question, Daniel. I wish I was more of a data person to be able to help you. Burra, we build cloud architects. Now, in the beginning of our program, we give our people an option, cloud networking or cloud security, and we help them build the plan. Now, we give our course is based upon building generic cloud architects. Now, I will tell you this. We get extremely heavy in security for everybody, almost to the level of a cloud security architect. And Burra, that's why we've got people like Delroy Batt that just got his first cloud security architect job out of this program. Delroy is 25 years old, has an associate's degree, and never worked in tech before he met me. So we do occasionally get people cloud security architect jobs. We also get some people that are focused on networking. We cover networking heavier than anybody else because that's my background, but I wouldn't say we do quite enough to be a network architect. Close, but not there. And here's the reason. Networking is so complicated that, look, you can do the intro to junior level certification, which is the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional. We got all of the associate and professional curriculum into a 500-page book. Now, networking might fit into a 50,000 pages of reading. So we might have the equivalent of 10,000 pages of networking in our course that everybody gets. And our cloud architects are really solid on networking and really solid on security. And you potentially and could get a cloud network architect or a cloud security architect job out of our program, and students do it all the time. But you're going to have to do some extra work. We'll tell you what the extra work is in your career development program, but you have to do some extra work. But of course you can do it. But the security piece, yeah, we got a lot of people graduating as cloud security architects, and here's the reason why. We go way past the CISSP level curriculum in every single class that we do. We get very detailed in demilitarized zone creation and firewall strategy and encryption strategies, identity and access management strategies, demilitarized zone design. What do you have to do to encrypt and enable your servers and secure your servers? Well, if you use, for example, a bashing host, you'll be fired within the first 40 hours of your job in most cases. How to really lock down your systems. So we do a lot of things to truly get you there. And we'll do anything we can to really make you successful. But we're based on becoming a generic architect. But yes, you can become a cloud network architect or a cloud security architect in our program, and we have students doing it all the time. We help you build a plan, and the plan is unique to you and your goals and dreams. And what do you think that one of the first projects is? Building your plan. Once you build your plan, we'll help you know what to do. Give you all the steps. We'll help you set up specific, measurable, achievable, results-oriented, and time-based goals. Get you through the program to get you to the job of your dreams. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So I think we have one or two more questions. One from Quick Strike 21. And beyond that, if you've got some questions, please ask so we can answer your questions. I want to answer your questions. I want to get you to your goals. Quick Strike 21. Hey, Mike, what are the times of the cloud engineer program? And how is the program structured as far as study and live classes? Do you give certificates? Quick Strike 21. Everybody is obsessed with a certificate. Look, we'll give you a certificate if you want, but a certificate is a meaningless piece of paper. What'll happen when you're done our program is you're going to have a job. So here's the way I look at it. You can have a piece of paper. Now, this is a cute piece of paper that one of my students made me because she knows I love cats. And this is a piece of paper. Or you could have a $100,000 a year job. Which is more interested you? A piece of paper that, no, this one is special because it's got my cat Cindy and a student made it for me, and that's why it's on my desk. So let's turn it around the other direction. Here's a certificate. Here you go. Now you got a certificate. Now you got a six-figure job. Which do you want? So yes, we do get certificates, but we see the world's obsessed with certificates, which don't get you hired. So we're more concerned about getting you hired. Now, the program is structured. We have 3 live classes per week. You have projects that you do in between classes and homework assignments to do in between classes, just like all of our courses. We don't do anything where you can't come to class. We have 3 live classes per week. In between live classes, there's things that you'll need to do. You'll submit your assignments via Slack. You get feedback on your assignments being on Slack. You'll work with groups. You'll be building clouds. You'll be doing all kinds of things to get really technically competent. So there's that. The classes are, and Chris, I want you to verify and help me if I am correct. We do 1 class on Friday at 1 p.m. every week. That's the leadership course that we do. On Saturday, there's a class at 9 a.m. Eastern, which is 2 p.m. UK time. And on Tuesday, is it 4 p.m., Chris?
It's at 1 p.m.
1 p.m. On Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, we've got a class, and that is 5 p.m. UK time. So Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern. And some of it is self-study in the labs, some of it is live training, and some of it is projects. And we've got a lot of projects and a lot of things, hands-on things for the engineers, because architects don't touch the tech, and we still have projects with them, but engineers really are always on the tech. So we'll do about 20 projects on AWS, 20 or some on Azure, and then we're going to do the real projects. You're going to be coming into our data center and working with server virtualization and container orchestration and NFS file servers for Linux and server message block file servers for Windows. You'll be building firewalls and VPN concentrators and building the Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP web stacks. You're going to be building and setting up Active Directory servers. And of course, you're going to build your own cloud. That's right. You're going to build your own cloud. Now, why do we do stuff that's so different than everybody else? See, the reality is people need to feel like you're ready to do the job to hire you. And if you don't have experience, they need to know the following. They need to know that you're energetic, enthusiastic, and really passionate about the technology. They need to know you're willing to go above and beyond, and you are motivated. So by doing that, that's what it really takes. So think about it this way. Somebody does a silly certification lab, and they're nonsense. Like, hey, I set up an S3 bucket. By the way, I taught an 8-year-old to do it. And you come and say, I built a cloud. Let's put that into context. I love kittens. I've got a kitten named Cindy. She's the most beautiful little girl in the world. She's not a kitten anymore. She's a cat. So she's like this beautiful 8-pound cat that I get to cuddle. So that's my Cindy. Now, Cindy is like, hey, I set up an S3 bucket or an EC2 instance. Believe me, she did it with her paws. Walking on my keyboard. Now, she causes all kinds of damage walking on my keyboard, but that's neither here nor there. Now you go in there and you say, I built a cloud. And now you're like a 600-pound lion. Roar, I built the cloud. And kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So why is this so exciting? So when you say, I set up an S3 bucket, they look at you and say, yeah, so did 18 other million people that I can't hire. When you say, I built a cloud, they're like, wow, this person's competent. They understand how the cloud works. This person's energetic, enthusiastic, and compassionate. Boy, this person's willing to go above and beyond. This is someone I need on my team. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. We do a lot of things to get you hired. Many, many, many things to get you hired. Tremendous amounts of things. And because of that, we get people hired. So that's what our times are like. We'd love to work with you, Quick Strike 21, and I'm sure we could get you hired like all the other people we do. Great question. Daniel Just, can a cloud architect work remotely? Daniel, I've been working remotely as an architect since 2001. Even before remote work was possible, I was working as an architect. And here's the thing, Daniel. This is not an engineering job. This is a consulting job. Meaning you have to go talk to a client, ask them about their business, find their business goals, their business pain points, business challenges. You then have to go back to your team, build a team on demand, create the solution, go back to come back to your office, document it, and then write it up, and then sell it back to them. Sell it back to them. That's what we do. So we design it, present it, and sell it. So the reason remote work always works is we don't have to go to the office to touch the technology. And the reality is we have to go visit customers. Now, most of what we can do on Zoom or WebEx or Google Meet or Microsoft Teams. But we architects do have to go to the customer site and travel, and always have, because if you've got an interview and you can do it in person, you can make an impact. You got an interview on Zoom, you don't make the same impact. You want to go close $1 billion deal, for which case you're going to get a $500,000 commission plus. You got to go see the customer. So yes, Daniel, architects work remotely, and we have had for decades. It doesn't matter which airport you fly out. You know, in 1 year as an architect, my week was like this. It's not like this anymore, thankfully. I literally would start my house in Palm Beach. I would give a speech or an executive briefing in San Jose, California. I'd fly to London, give a speech over there. 2 days later, I was in Dubai. Then I'd be in Australia. Then I'd be in Hong Kong. Then I'd be back in Dubai. Now, that was the old days before we had all this great conferencing technology. Now it's more like work from home, meeting. Do that for 2 weeks straight. Then take a trip to somebody, do a couple of meetings, kiss some babies, entertain some clients, and then go back home and work from home. So yes, working remotely is, yes, big for architects. I've been working for remotely since 2001 as an architect. Loved it. Ever since we had remote access, we architects have worked from home. Management consultants work from home. Management consultants and architects are almost the same job. We're very different than others. We design, present, and sell to go solve people's business problems. Best job in the world. Daniel, I encourage you to do this, world. I think you will absolutely love it. I will tell you, I've been an engineer and I've been an architect. Both are great careers. Being an architect was the best job I ever had. I didn't have to go to the office anywhere. I got to stay home, got to travel, got to talk to some interesting people, solve some business problems. Generally speaking, when you're an architect, because you're such valuable to the company, you want to go to some executive leadership training, great. You want them to pay for your MBA, great, because it's just a great job. So Daniel, you can work remotely. I've loved it for the last 2 decades being an architect. System Lord, when do the next live classes start? The second you join. So System Lord, let's talk about things. There's 2 approaches to things. There's batches, which I think are the worst thing that exists, and then there's ongoing training. Here's what a batch means. A batch means that you join me on September 1st. I keep you for 16 weeks, and at the end of the 16 weeks, I say, bye, you're gone. I don't care what happens to you. Goodbye. Now, that does not seem fair to a student, and that's what our competition does. You pay them 20 grand for a boot camp, or 35, like Daniel, one of my students, did to help him level up in tech. He spends 35 grand for this thing. He's done. He's out on his own. And then he couldn't get hired. He went on interview after interview after interview, and I would hire him. And then he got referred to me, and I took him in. And now he's working as a cloud architect at JP Morgan Chase Bank. Took me 6 months to retrain him after the nonsense that he was taught, but that's okay. He got there. So System Lord, what I do is as follows. The second you or somebody buys our course, within about 5 minutes, they receive an email that says, welcome to Go Cloud Careers. Now, our program is based upon 3 things: live classes, individual assignments that you do, and projects. So you sign up today. Now, normally speaking, on Friday, we'd have a class, but we're not having it because it's a holiday and none of my students will show up. They won't show up today on Monday. So on Tuesday, we'll be in our next class, and it's going to be a beautiful class. So today you sign up, and the first thing you do is you get access to an email, and you join the Slack community, and you join our course, and you watch the first video, and you do the first homework assignment at your own pace. Then you come to the next live class that you can attend, and we record all classes in case you miss one, so you can watch it. And then you come to the live class. Now, yesterday's class, we had a class on, how to learn. Tuesday's class, we're going to have a class on architecture. Thursday's class, we're going to have a class on architecture, and Friday we'll have a leadership class. So say on Tuesday, we do a healthcare organization's architecture. On Thursday, we do a bank's architecture. Guess what? We're going to keep repeating architectures, retail banking, video conferencing, social media, etc., etc., etc. And that's why we do this for both our engineers and our architects in the same way. They sign up as soon as they can. They do the projects on their own. They turn in their homework assignments and they get rolled into the next class. Now, because we repeat these classes again and again and again, everybody gets to learn everything. So the individual live classes, which we teach, all stand alone, and all the stuff you do in your program builds. Now, this way, here's the cool news. You're in my program for 12 weeks and you're cloud hired. We celebrated and I'm super excited. Now, when you're done that, guess what else? So you do the projects in class, you do the projects on your own. Now you do all these classes and I can keep you in the class until you're hired. Wait, huh? What? What it really comes down to is as follows. You can stay in the course until you are hired. Now, granted, it may take a little longer for the cloud engineers to get hired than the cloud architects, which is the exact opposite you would think, because there's more to learn to be an engineer than there is an architect. And it's a harder job to get, but we get people cloud engineer jobs too. But the point is, we'll keep you in the program until you are hired. Until you are hired. So come into the class, do the work, stay in the course until you are hired or a year passes, and nobody needs a year. And that's why we are so obsessed with not doing batches. You sign up, you get a welcome email, you start doing the individual things on your own time, then you come to the next class, we work together in classes until you're hired. So live classes start the second you sign up. You'll enter the pre-recorded piece, and then you'll be rolled into the next class, which is always based upon the program. If it's an architect class, it's going to be on a Tuesday, a Thursday, and a Friday. If it's an engineering class, it's going to be on a Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. But in any case, that's the way the live classes work. The second you sign up. Aida, can we provide a roadmap to our course? Very simple. Do lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4, lesson 5, all the way to like lesson 500 or whatever it is. Watch the videos. That's the whole roadmap. Do the course, come to class, turn in your homework assignments, get feedback on your assignments, take the feedback we've given you, and we'll get you hired. That's it. There's nothing to it. There really isn't. We've made it so easy. Just follow the plan. Literally do lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4, come to class, do your assignments, and get hired. So start with lesson 1. Also, in the beginning of our course, there's a student orientation video, which not everybody watches, but they should watch. So, I mean, study according to the personal development plan. In the beginning of the plan, we build you a development plan. And we figure out everything you need to know, the skills you need to learn, certifications that you need to get to help you get an interview, things that you need to do. Follow that plan. You turn in your assignment, we give you some feedback on it. And that's how we help you build your plan. So, very simple. Question 1, question 2, question 3, and then we'll get you there. Follow the plan in our order. Mr. Businessman, thanks for yesterday, Mike. You have no idea how much I needed that boost. You were feeling defeated and you gave me the motivation to resubmit my design. And I'm doing it this weekend, cloud hired. Mr. Businessman, I love that. One time I had a document that I wrote. It was a thought leadership document. And my mentor sent it back to me over 30 times. It was about 20 years ago. I can remember it like it was yesterday. I turned it in, came back, read all over it. Oh, God. I turned it again, read all over it. I used to get scared to turn it in because I knew I wasn't going to get the right. I knew it was going to come back wrong. I turned it in over 30 times. So, Mr. Businessman, it's not how fast you can do it. It's how good you can do it. If it takes you a year or it takes you 2 months and you get to your goal and you didn't pay $10,000 or $25,000 or $30,000 for training, that's all that matters. You got to your goal. The speed that I learn versus the speed that you learn versus the speed that somebody else has learned is all different. You may have different factors going on in your life, and that's why we are so against batches. I just want you hired. And Mr. Businessman, I know your real name and I know where you live in Georgia. You are fantastic. So resubmit it, master it, get cloud hired. Daniel Joss, oh, I hate hearing this. You just spent $4,000 for AWS, Azure, GCP from Caltech, and you didn't feel you learned too much. You're the first person who opened my eyes. Unfortunately, I hear this all the time. We get people out that have finished the master's degrees in cloud computing, and here's the problem. In universities, they teach non-relevant skills like coding and configuring and certifications. They don't actually teach the job. And it's pretty sad, and the problem is twofold. A good cloud architect is earning $250,000 plus a year. A great one is earning $500,000 a year, and they don't work at Caltech for $2,500 a course. So that's the majority of it. So those who can really do. Now, I don't need to work, Daniel. I'm very blessed. I had an incredible architecture career. I was financially able to retire at 34, and this is my dream. I want to get you all cloud hired. And that's why we charge so little for our course, because we don't need to do it as a revenue thing. We need to cover our costs, leave extra left over to grow the company, grow the brand, and grow the student base. Because we want everybody in the world that wants a cloud architect job to get one. And I so wish that I didn't hear this every single day. So Daniel, I got to tell you, I actually came out of retirement for the following reason. I was retired. I was coaching people to get hired on a private one-to-one basis. It was a great job for me. What happened is I'd set up a big cryptocurrency blockchain data center, and the person that I actually was running the data center said, Mike, here, we like you so much. You've made our whole village rich. Here you go. You don't have to pay for rent in this warehouse anymore. Just pay the electric. I'm going to keep my stuff with you. And I was like, okay, great. And then the person that we rented a warehouse from to store thousands of cryptocurrency miners proceeded to say to me, Mike, my kid's ready to graduate with a computer science degree, or computer engineering was called. And I don't want him to be some regular kid. I want him to be like one of your people, the interns that you came in that just built this data center in days. I went, you got it. So what I did, Daniel, for him is I told him, I said, look, I'll give your son 2 to 4 hours every Friday of private one-on-one consulting on me. I said, I'm going to buy him the 3 best-selling courses, and you can do those. And then I'll work with him on Friday. My friend was so grateful. So I bought him these 3 courses. Trust me, they were the worst things I've ever seen in my entire life. It was so bad that after 3 days, the kid called me back that I was supposed to work with. And he says, I set up an S3 bucket and an EC2. What are they? Like, what do you mean, what are they? And I literally jumped down the kid's throat and I said, what do you mean? How lazy could you possibly be? I bought you 3 best-selling certification courses. What do you mean you don't know what a virtual machine is? And what do you mean you don't understand the hypervisor concept? What do you mean you don't understand the metadata and object storage? What do you mean you don't understand storage area networks? What do you mean you don't understand how it works and why it works and why you can't use it and mount it to systems? And he said it wasn't covered there. And I said to the kid, Nathan, I don't believe you. I said, nobody could be that bad and produce content that's that garbage. And then what did I do? Well, I watched the courses that I bought the kid, and I was horrified. Horrified. There was literally nothing related to architecture and solution architect training. It was PowerPoint slides with audio, which wasn't even acceptable in 1998, let alone 2020. And there was no knowledge there. It was like the people teaching these things never worked in tech in their lives. They bought a microphone, made some PowerPoint slides, took a certification, and was teaching garbage. And I knew nobody could get hired. So Daniel, what I did was follow. I interviewed 1,000 people from these best-selling courses. Half of them were 6X certified, 10X AWS certified, certified solution architect professionals. None of them, a big zero, actually knew anything about cloud. They knew the name of the service and how to configure that. And architects don't configure anything. And they can't use those names of the services. What I did, as I said to the kid, I said, we're going to write a book. I'm passing the certified solution architect professional. We'll charge $10 for it. And then we're going to strip out 10 pages and we're going to give it away free as a certified solution architect book. We then distributed tens of thousands of those books almost overnight. People sent us emails and lists. Oh my God, I got my first job. I passed my certification. Thank you for the free book. Then we decided to take our certified solution architect professional and give that away for free. And then we did a certified solution architect associate boot camp. And we do one every 3 months. and an AWS Advanced Networking completely free, and an Azure Solution Architect Expert Bootcamp completely free. And then we did, we're writing a Google Professional Cloud Architect book, which we're going to give away free. And here's the reason, Daniel, just certifications are not enough to get anybody anywhere. They are like the icing on the cake. And I didn't want anyone wasting $4,000, $6,000, $8,000, or even $15 for a worthless Udemy course on this training. And that's why we produced all that free. Now, Daniel, there's a big difference between certification training and what we do to get people hired. We teach the actual job. But there's that. I'm so sorry to hear this. I hear this every single day. Daniel Bosa, one of my students, went to pay $35,000 for some worthless Security Plus certification from somebody that was supposed to help him build his career. And when he called me first and I asked him what about security, and I asked him how to design a secure infrastructure, and he had no idea, because certifications don't teach the job, they teach the name of the service and how to configure those services. So I want you to get hired, Daniel. Just please get hired. Please build your career. I want to hear that you're cloud hired with your $250,000 job and your career a few years from now, and you're excited and you're happy. That's what I want for you. So I'm a little blunt, a little honest with regards to things that are needed and not needed. This is all business acumen, communication skills, leadership skills, sales skills, executive presence, emotional intelligence, ROI modeling. That's the thing for the architect. And that's the problem. Architects aren't engineers. Engineers are hands-on technology professionals. Architects are business executives. When you train an architect with engineering skills, they can't get a job because they're not architects. And it's kind of like this. If you train somebody to be a flight attendant and then ask them to fly an airplane, they wouldn't know how. Likewise, if you took the pilot and said, here, you're now a lawyer, they wouldn't know how either. Daniel, these careers are really great, but in college they do what I call generic preparedness. They teach you a little bit of a lot of stuff. And then when it comes time to work, you got to learn the actual job. So you can do great, Daniel. I'm sure you can do incredible, Daniel. You'll be terrific. And really, it's about building the best cloud computing career of your dreams. Figure out exactly what that career is. Exactly. Master everything to make you great at that one career. And then get cloud hired. Master it even more. Get better every single day. Get cloud promoted. Rinse, lather, repeat. Get better every day. Better every day. No, because I said you need to get better every day. Constant improvement. Now, I've got a few minutes. If you've got a question, please feel free to answer it. Otherwise, we'll end a little early because of the holiday, which I'm totally happy to do. But the real key is get better every day. Now, how do you get better every day? Well, you're constantly working on improving yourself, right? And if you have to improve yourself, you have to learn and study and grow every day. Grow from work experience, grow from reading, grow from conferences, grow. And why am I so obsessed with you loving what you do? Because if you don't love what you do, you can't learn every day. And here's what happens. If you improve yourself every day, here's your career. If you get bored or hate it, here's your career. And it doesn't advance. And if you're not happy, you're going to look like this at work. And when you look like this, somebody else is getting promoted and paid more because they really want the high. Hi, everybody. I'm here to help. How can I help you? That energy, enthusiasm, passion, that's what they're looking for. So what do I know? I know the secret to success is being great at your job. Let other people be good at their jobs. Being motivated, energetic, enthusiastic, passionate about the work. It's about your competency. It's about your emotional intelligence, or how you bring it, how you raise the energy of the room, and how do you make other people feel. It's about your communication skills. It's about your leadership skills. It's about your soft skills, your business acumen, your CXO relevancy. Those are the things that are the rocket system. They're like gasoline that you pour on a fire to make the fire grow faster. So be great at what you do. Master what you do and find something you love. As Mark Twain said, make your vacation or your holiday your vocation, and you'll never work a day in your life. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I came from internal medicine, and I enjoyed it, but it was hard. By the end of the day, I was exhausted. I mean, I was exhausted. And then I became an architect. And it was like I got done work. I used to say to my wife every day, I can't believe people pay me to do this. And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, here's what I did today. I went to this diner. I gave a silly presentation. I had some sushi, which the company paid for. And then when I was done, I talked to my team and took them out to Morton's for steaks. I had some Silver Oak wine and some Macallan 25. I can't believe people paid me for this. And she said, you're lucky you found your niche. And that's what I want all of you to do. I want you to do what you love so it's not work. So you can have harmony between your work life and your personal life. So it's not, I got to go to the office. I hate this job. It's, I got to the office. How awesome. They pay me to do this. I can't believe they actually pay me to do this. So make your vacation your vocation. Build your career. Be the best you can. And truly, truly, truly go for your dreams. And that's what you're going to do. So I'd love to work with any of you. I love when my students get cloud hired. I love it, love it, love it. You know, every night it's around 10 o'clock at night, and I find out almost every night somebody's hired. I send that text message to Chris and Alonzo, and then the three of us have our little happy dance and our little happiness cloud hired party, and then we share it with the rest of our team the next day, and they're all equally as excited as we are. So we'd love to work with you. 30% off Labor Day discount. The coupon code is 30LABOR, and we would love, love, love to work with you. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I hope you all, those of you that are celebrating the holiday weekend, have a fantastic holiday weekend. And we will be back next week, not Monday because it's a holiday in the US, but we will be back on Tuesday night with the Head in the Cloud show. And let me remind you, we've got the interview workshop next week. We've got the resume workshop, which we made free for you next week. And of course, the How to Get Your First Cloud Job next week. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care. Cloud hired, everybody.